Deceptive appearances. The vast darkness of space parted before the Zenari fleet like a curtain yielding to conquerors. 7 massive warships, their hulls gleaming with the strange blue-green alloy unique to the Zenari Dominion, approached the third planet of a seemingly unremarkable yellow star. Fleet Commander Xerix stood on the command deck of the flagship Inevitable Conquest, his 4 arms folded across his armored chest as he studied the holographic projection of Earth. "How primitive," he remarked, mandibles clicking with contempt. "Their satellites are practically antiques. I see no defensive grid, no planetary shield. Science Officer Kelva, explain why High Command considers this world worthy of our attention." Science Officer Kelva, her skin a paler shade of the species' characteristic purple, approached the display. Unlike the commander, whose body was built for combat with reinforced exoskeleton plates, Kelva's form was more delicate, adapted for the precision work of scientific investigation. "Appearances can be deceptive, Commander," she said, manipulating the display to highlight Earth's unique features. "This planet contains rare minerals essential for our quantum drive upgrades. Additionally, their biosphere is remarkably diverse, with potential for numerous biotech applications." Xerix made a dismissive gesture with his lower right arm. "But the inhabitants, these humans, are they worth the resources required for subjugation?" "That's where things become interesting," Kelva replied, bringing up intercepted transmissions from Earth. "Their technological development follows an unusual pattern. They appear to have nuclear capabilities, rudimentary AI systems, and chemical rockets, but their advancement is uneven. They should have colonized their solar system by now, yet they've barely touched their moon." "Perhaps they're simply unintelligent," suggested Tactical Officer Vorn, his battle-scarred face appearing eager for an easy conquest. "No," Kelva countered. "Their scientific theories demonstrate advanced understanding of physics, mathematics, and biology. They create art of startling complexity, and they fight constantly among themselves with remarkable innovation." Xerix studied the data more carefully. "A puzzle, then. Perhaps they've exhausted their resources on internal conflicts." "Possibly," Kelva said, but her tone suggested doubt. "There's something else. The electromagnetic emissions from their planet don't match expectations for their development stage. There are gaps." "Explain," Xerix demanded. "Certain frequency bands are completely silent when they should be saturated with communications, as if they're deliberately avoiding them." Xerix's eyes narrowed. The Zenari Dominion had conquered 17 solar systems over 3 centuries, always following the same protocol. Arrive, demonstrate overwhelming force, demand surrender, and integrate useful species while eliminating resistors. No species had successfully resisted. Yet something about this unremarkable blue planet made his instincts tingle with warning. "Maintain stealth approach," he ordered. "Hold position behind their moon. We'll observe for 1 planetary rotation before making contact." On Earth, in a facility 2 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Elena Ortega received the alert she'd been expecting for decades. The network had detected the Zenari fleet the moment it entered the Kuiper Belt, just as their predictive models had suggested would happen eventually. 7 ships, largest approximately 3 kilometers in length, reported Colonel Jensen, her chief intelligence officer. "They matched the configurations we observed at Proxima Centauri." Ortega nodded, her expression betraying nothing of the momentous nature of humanity's first alien contact. "And they took the bait." "Yes, ma'am. They're settling into lunar orbit on the far side, probably thinking they're being stealthy." A thin smile crossed Ortega's face. "Activate Protocol Chimera. Alert all coalition governments. The visitors are exactly on schedule." Throughout the hidden facilities scattered across Earth, humanity's true technological achievements, carefully concealed from external observation for over a century, awakened from their dormant state. Quantum communication networks carried unhackable encrypted messages. Fusion-powered defense systems warmed silently, and the fruits of reversed-engineered technology from the scout ship that crashed in New Mexico in 1947 prepared for their ultimate test. Aboard the inevitable conquest, Kelva frowned at her instruments. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from Earth now. Very faint, but they don't match any known human technology." "Weapons?" Xerix asked sharply. "Uncertain. The signals are too weak to characterize, but they're appearing worldwide. In a coordinated pattern." Xerix's warrior instincts flared. "Launch reconnaissance drones. Silent approach. Maximum stealth." Within hours, the 12 advanced Zenari drones entered Earth's atmosphere, programmed to be invisible to primitive radar. 3 were instantly vaporized upon crossing an invisible threshold 100 kilometers above the surface. "Drones 7, 9, and 11 lost," reported Tactical Officer Vorn, genuine surprise in his voice. "No indication of weapons fire. They simply disappeared." "Impossible," Xerix growled. "Did the others detect what happened?" "Negative. The remaining drones report no unusual readings. Earth's defense technology shouldn't be capable of detecting our stealth systems, let alone neutralizing them." Kelva's voice was quiet but tense. "Commander, the humans may be more advanced than we thought." "Nonsense." Xerix dismissed her concern with a wave. "Send the diplomatic ship as planned. First contact protocol. Display our technological superiority, offer assistance with their development, and begin the integration process." The diplomatic vessel, sleek and intimidating despite its supposedly peaceful mission, detached from the flagship and moved toward Earth. As it approached, Xerix opened a communication channel broadcasting in all Earth languages simultaneously, a standard intimidation tactic showing technological superiority. "People of Earth," he intoned, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into human languages. "I am Fleet Commander Xerix of the Zenari Dominion. We come with knowledge and power beyond your comprehension. Accept our guidance, and your species will prosper under our protection. Resist, and face consequences your primitive minds cannot imagine. Your world leaders will prepare to receive our representatives." The response came not through their communication systems, but appeared directly on every screen aboard all 7 Zenari ships simultaneously, a security breach that should have been impossible. A woman with dark hair streaked with gray, wearing a simple blue uniform with minimal ornamentation, looked directly at Xerix through the screen. Her calm demeanor suggested neither fear nor awe. "This is General Elena Ortega of the Earth Defense Coalition. We've been expecting you. Commander Xerix, your reputation for conquering less advanced civilizations precedes you. However, I believe there's been a misunderstanding about Earth's capabilities." As she spoke, hundreds of objects emerged from concealed silos on Earth, rising through the atmosphere at impossible speeds. "We've been watching your kind for 75 years, Ortega continued. "The scout ship you sent in 1947 was most educational. We've been preparing for this meeting ever since." Xerix's mandibles clicked in alarm as tactical displays showed the Earth objects surrounding his fleet, appearing from nowhere as if space itself had birthed them. "Impossible," he whispered. "Commander," Kelva's voice was barely audible. They'd been hiding their true technological level. This was a trap. Ortega's expression remained neutral. "We don't desire conflict, Commander. Humanity has had enough of war among ourselves to last millennia. But make no mistake, we will not be conquered. Perhaps we can discuss mutually beneficial cooperation instead." As she finished speaking, one of the smaller Zenari support vessels exploded silently into fragments, apparently untouched by any weapon. "A demonstration," Ortega explained. "That ship was unoccupied according to our scans. We could have destroyed your entire fleet, but that's not our intention." For the first time in his long military career, Fleet Commander Xerix felt something unfamiliar, the cold grip of fear. The humans had deceived them completely, presenting a false face of primitive technology, while concealing capabilities that matched or exceeded the Zenari Dominion's most advanced systems. And now, As the Earth vessels held his fleet in a perfect kill formation, he realized that the hunter had become the hunted. Humanity unveiled. Fleet Commander Xerx's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of severe stress rarely seen in Zenari military officers. The tactical display showed what should have been impossible. His 7 advanced warships completely surrounded by Earth vessels that had appeared with no warning, somehow evading the most sophisticated detection systems in the known galaxy. Full defensive posture, he ordered, voice tight with controlled panic. Arm all weapons systems. Commander, Science Officer Kelva interjected urgently, I strongly advise against hostile action. These humans have already demonstrated technological capabilities beyond our intelligence assessments. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done so immediately. On screen, General Ortega remained calm. Your officer gives wise counsel, Commander. We've studied the Zenari long enough to understand your protocols. Typically, you'd now attempt a show of force, beginning with your antimatter torpedoes targeted at major population centers. I should inform you that we've neutralized those weapons in your arsenal. They will not detonate if launched. As if to demonstrate, the tactical display showed error messages across the torpedo control systems of all 7 ships. Tactical Officer Vorn slammed a fist onto his console. How? Our systems are isolated. There's no possible way for them to access our weapons controls remotely. Kelva's eyes widened with sudden understanding. Quantum entanglement. They must have somehow entangled particles within our systems during our approach. It's the only explanation for instantaneous control across space. Correct, Officer Kelva. General Ortega's voice confirmed. The drones you sent were quite helpful in establishing the necessary links. Those we allowed to function, at least. Xerx felt his world collapsing around him. The Zenari Dominion had expanded for centuries on the principle that technological superiority guaranteed victory. Never had they encountered a species that had so thoroughly prepared for their arrival. Why the deception? He demanded. Why hide your true capabilities? For the first time, Ortega's expression softened slightly. Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak when you are strong provides strategic advantage. We observe your encounters with other civilizations through our deep space monitoring network. Your treatment of species you deemed inferior was instructive. The implication hung in space between them like a drawn weapon. The Zenari approach to primitive civilizations typically ended with subjugation or extinction. We've been exploring space for over 5 decades, Ortega continued, but quietly, using technologies that leave no conventional trace. When we found evidence of your empire expanding in our direction, we made preparations. On the command deck of the inevitable conquest, an uncomfortable silence fell. The Zenari crew looked to their commander, waiting for a decision that could determine the future of their species. What do you want? Xerx finally asked, his voice subdued. A conversation, Ortega replied simply. One between equals. We invite a delegation from your fleet to Earth. In good faith, we'll stand down half of our defense vessels as you approach. Xerx considered the offer. Zenari military doctrine provided no guidance for this situation. Every conquest scenario assumed technological superiority. There was no protocol for encountering a species that had outmaneuvered them so completely. I accept, he said finally, seeing no alternative. But I will come myself. 24 hours later, Fleet Commander Xerx found himself in a vast underground chamber beneath what humans called the United Nations headquarters. Representatives from Earth's nations filled tiered seating around a central circular platform, where he stood with General Ortega and 3 other human military leaders. Welcome to Earth, said a gray-haired man introduced as Secretary General Abo. We hope this meeting marks the beginning of peaceful relations between our civilizations. Xerx studied the humans with new eyes. Their physical forms seemed so fragile. No natural armor, weak musculature compared to Zenari warriors, limited sensory capabilities. Yet they had achieved what no other species had managed. They had anticipated and neutralized a Zenari conquest before it began. You understand, Xerix said carefully, that my failure here will likely result in a larger Dominion fleet being sent. They will not approach with the restraint that I showed. General Ortega smiled thinly. We're counting on it, Commander. That's why we allowed your quantum communicator to continue functioning. We want your leaders to receive your complete report. Xerix felt his heart sink. You want them to know everything, confirmed Ortega. That Earth is not the primitive world your intelligence suggested. That we have technologies equal or superior to yours in several domains. And most importantly, that we have no interest in conquest, but will defend ourselves absolutely if threatened. Another human, introduced as Chief Scientist Dr. Lakshmi Chen, stepped forward. Commander, we propose an exchange of knowledge rather than conflict. There are scientific frontiers where our approaches differ significantly from yours. Both our civilizations could benefit from collaboration. The Zenari do not collaborate, Xerix said reflexively. We rule. And how has that served you? Asked Dr. Chen. We've studied your civilization carefully. Your technological development has plateaued over the last century. Without new perspectives, innovation stagnates. The accusation stung because Xerix knew it contained truth. Zenari technological advancement had indeed slowed. Each new conquest added resources, but rarely new ideas. Show him, General Ortega instructed. The chamber darkened, and a holographic display activated, showing technology Xerix had never imagined. Gravity manipulation beyond Zenari capabilities, biological innovations that merged organic and mechanical systems seamlessly, and energy generation methods that appeared to draw power from the quantum fabric of space itself. How? He whispered. Your world shows none of this. Because we built most of it off-world, Dr. Chen explained. Mars, Europa, the asteroid belt. We developed in secret while presenting a deliberately misleading public face. The technology you're seeing represents just a fraction of what humanity has achieved. For the first time, Xerix understood the true extent of the Zenari miscalculation. Humans hadn't just prepared defenses. They had developed an entire shadow civilization beyond their homeworld, hidden from observation. Your leaders face a choice, General Ortega said, returning to the central issue. They can accept that humanity is not conquerable and seek peaceful relations, or they can attempt invasion and face consequences we would prefer to avoid. What consequences? Xerix asked, though he feared the answer. Ortega's expression remained neutral. We've planted quantum entangled devices throughout Zenari space during our exploratory missions. Should full-scale hostilities commence, we would regrettably be forced to use them. The implication was clear. Humanity could strike at the heart of the Dominion without sending a single ship. Xerix found himself at a crossroads unlike any in Zenari history. His people's entire identity was built around conquest and domination. Yet he now faced a species that had fundamentally changed the equation. I will convey your position to the High Council, he said finally. But they may not accept it easily. Our way of life must evolve, interrupted Secretary General Abo firmly, as all successful civilizations do. The galaxy is vast, Commander Xerix. There is room for both our peoples to thrive without conflict. As Xerix prepared to return to his ship, General Ortega accompanied him to the transport area. Away from the other humans, her formal demeanor softened slightly. Your scientists were partially correct, she said quietly. Humans do fight constantly among ourselves, but that has given us something the Zenari may lack. The ability to see things from multiple perspectives. Our diversity forced us to learn cooperation alongside competition. Xerix considered this. The Zenari have never needed to cooperate with equals. I'm not certain we remember how. Then perhaps that's what we can teach you, Ortega suggested. And in return, there must be knowledge your civilization can share with us. For the first time since arriving at Earth, Xerix felt something beyond shock or fear, a glimmer of curiosity. The Zenari Dominion stood at a pivotal moment in its history, facing not just a military challenge, but a philosophical one. As he boarded the transport that would return him to the inevitable conquest, Xerix wondered if his name would be remembered as the commander who failed to conquer Earth, or as the one who guided the Zenari toward a different kind of future. In the vast darkness of space, two civilizations that had developed along entirely different paths now faced the challenge of finding common ground. The humans had won the first encounter not through superior firepower, but through patience, deception, and preparation. The question that remained was whether both species could win the peace that followed. Looking back at Earth through a viewport as his ship ascended, Xerix understood with sudden clarity why humans had succeeded where others had failed. They had learned from their own bloody history the lessons that the Zenari had never needed to learn: how to turn enemies into allies, how to find strength in diversity, and most importantly, how to appear weak while building unprecedented power. It was a lesson the Zenari Dominion would now have to learn very quickly.